Got to get the chart position of this next record. Wasn't one of their biggest hits, though. I believe it made top 30, but that's about it. But it's at number 9 on my fantasy playlist, September 29th, excuse me, 1981. I sure was generous to a lot of these groups that in a lot of these songs that didn't quite make top 10 or top 20, putting it into the top 10, top 20 on my fantasy playlist. And Little River Band with Night Owls at number 9. Don't hear that much song much anymore by the Little River Band. Little River Band from Australia. First album came out in 1975. Curiosity Killed the Cat was their first hit in Australia in 1975. Their American breakthrough was Help Us on the Way. That was around the summer and fall of 1977. And then the winter of 77, 78, it was Happy Anniversary Baby. I love the way that song started. Just boom, Happy Anniversary Baby. That was the hook. Got You on My Mind. Summer of 1978, it was Reminiscing. Summer of 1979, a year later, it was Lonesome Loser. Powerful record. My God, that resonated. It was because I felt like a loser. It was almost as if the group was singing towards me. They're singing to me. And then there was Cool Change in the fall of 79. And then we come to the album Time Exposure in 1981. Yielded Take It Easy on Me. Boy, that was our last top 10 hit here in America. Late, when was it? Late 81, early 1982. Night Owls, I believe, was the first single off the album. And Night Owls, gosh, well, first off, I got to break this down. I got to break this down in small pieces because there's so much I did. The research just takes you off to different directions. Guess who produced this album? Guess who produced this record? George Martin, the fifth Beatle. It was at a studio. At his studio, it was called Associated Independent Recording Studio, AIR, in the Caribbean, Montserrat. It was recorded there, Caribbean island of Montserrat. George Martin, let me go back a little bit on this because this kind of fascinates me. I just don't know enough about this, but George Martin started this AIR, this Associated Independent Recording thing, along with a partner back in 1965 when they had departed from EMI. But the first recording studio, the first AIR recording studio, was built in 1970, and then another one was built in the Caribbean in 1975. And numerous artists had recorded at this Montserrat studio over the years. Paul McCartney, Ultrafox, Jimmy Buffett recorded Volcano at this Montserrat recording studio down in the Caribbean. It's now defunct. It got closed down. It got damaged by a hurricane real bad. And it got to where, at least according to George Martin, the record moguls didn't like their recording artists. Recording artists, recording far away, out of their control. And well, there you go. But as of 2013, though, that studio was still standing. Damaged, but it was still there. They ought to make it into a museum. I mean, it's George Martin, man. And the guy's a legend, fifth Beatle. Anyway, he produced this album. That's the bottom line. Now, I want to talk about, because I'm trying to break this down as best I can. Graham Goble wrote this record. Graham Goble, founding member of the Little River Band. Graham Goble wrote one of the best songs the Little River Band ever did, Reminiscing. I get really burned out on these overplayed records, but Reminiscing was an exception. It was just a brilliant record. Summer of 1978. But think of this. When you listen to this record, it's almost like you're stepping into a black and white movie back in the 30s and 40s with a beautiful woman and you got the beaches and the Caribbean and just it's like a Humphrey Bogart movie or Clark Gable movie. That retro 30s sounding record. 1978, it came out in 78, but it sounds so much like 1936 in a way. It's as if Graham Goble was channeling Cole Porter, those legendary songwriters back in the 30s and early 40s. And you're in this black and white movie and you got Glenn Miller playing in the background, or maybe watching Glenn Miller play at a bar or a concert. That's the vibe that Reminiscing had. It captured it. It was like a time capsule. Graham Goble wrote the song Night Owls. But now here's the thing about Graham Goble. You see, the thing was, Glenn Sharp was the lead singer of Little River Band. And a lot of songs that Graham Goble wrote did not resonate with Glenn Sharp. He just didn't feel any connection with him. Although he did record some songs that Goble wrote. Goble wrote Night Owls for a guy named, his name was Wayne Nelson. Or was it David Nelson? Wayne Nelson. Wayne Nelson, who joined the band in 1980. He had a higher focal range than Glenn Sharp did. And Goebel wrote Night Owls to fit into Nelson's higher focal range. Straight wrote it for his high focal range. I believe this was the last album that Glenn Sharp sang lead on. Last album until about 1988. So there it is, in a nutshell. Boy, that was a mouthful right there. Glenn Sharp and well, Wayne Nelson, Graham Goebel, Little River Band from Australia. Lost 45 on my fantasy playlist, September 29th, 1981. It is Night Owls at number 9.